this loving woman?
I would say it really didn't settle in until forgetting Mommy didn't settle in until the end of the second year. But after the first 2 months of being abducted, you pretty much knew that California was somewhere else in the world. You were here, and you had this wonderful aunt and uncle who were actually cousins, but aunt and uncle that were helping you, and they were teaching you how to not say napkin but say napkin, and they were putting you in this Catholic school, and you were being told this is love and this is caring. So basically, they were taking care of you. They were buying toys. You know, Dad was like, if you'll not cry, here's a toy. And so I guess as a child, you tend to kind of go, okay, well, this isn't that bad. You know, yeah, there's certain things I don't like about it. But I'd say by the end of the second year, I just realized that this is it. I had one last real big bout over my mother and being upset, which was where my dad's sister came to visit in Odessa, Texas, once we moved there. And she had some perfume, and she said, smell this. And I'm like 9 years old. I'm like, all right. So I go smell it. I was like 10, I think. And it smelled like Charlie, this perfume. And I just, it was everywhere. And I said, who is it? She goes, your mom wears it. And I was like, oh my gosh. I went to grab it. She goes, and she laughs, and she runs, and she dumps it in the toilet and so forth, and says, don't tell your dad I did that. And
so cool.
It was, yeah, and so it was something that was like, and that was where it was like, oh, Mom, you know, and it was always Mommy, and there was this sense of, I for myself, I went back and forth. I felt guilty for becoming accustomed to this lifestyle, although it always changed. And at the same time, I hated her because she wasn't there. She wasn't looking for me. Why wasn't she here? Was she really dead? You know, why did she marry that man? Why was she doing the things that Dad said she was doing? Why would Daddy lie to me? He's my father.
Mm-hmm. And so you lived with a lot of guilt, and you were, I guess, the typical middle child syndrome in all of this, really, because, you know, the baby got to be babied, and the older sister, you know, got to do what she wanted to do, and she wasn't really, as much as she was a part of it, she wasn't abducted because that was her father, and he had full custody of her. But you kind of had to take the brunt of everything that came along because you remembered your past, but the future was where you were. And it wasn't a whole lot of fun, was it? So you said that you know, in the mind of the child, the police had stopped you. They wanted to know who you were. You wanted to say, I'm Kenny Connelly, take me home to my mom. But the other part of you said, oh, no, you know, I'm Kenny Womack because, you know, I can't let my dad go to jail. I've been told I'm not, you know, I'm really bad, and I don't want to be the person who brings the family down. You must have felt schizophrenic.
Excuse me?
Did you feel schizophrenic at the time? Did you
I always felt very schizophrenic because in my mind I knew who I was. And at the same time, I'm not that person anymore. And so I lived a lot in my head. I colored a lot. I drew a lot. I think that's kind of the time period when my storytelling or my writing kind of came along. Just for later was I created a lot of imaginary friends. And I remember I used to sit and I used to dream about the ocean in California and my mom there, or laying my head on my mom's lap and her rubbing her fingers through my hair and soothing me and things like that. And so it was very schizophrenic.
My son today, even at 23, will sometimes come in and say, Mom, just stroke my head the way you used to when I was a baby, and it just makes him feel so much better. So those are big things. The things that you remember as a child. That a mother does and kind of doesn't go away. It's really disturbing, the things that happened to you as far as the self-inflicting, where you started to hit yourself, and feel some pain because it made you feel real, to I guess walk around like, what do you remember when that started, why you started, what you were thinking when you did it?
I do. I was in Arizona. It was the end of that school year, so 1981 summer. And whenever I got in trouble, it was a lot of verbal and you're stupid and you're idiot. And even Carrie kind of jumped in on the whole, you're this, you're that, and went on and on and on. Everything down to you have a pig nose and just dumb things. But on top of everything else, it made it really heavy. So what I would do is when I did something bad, I would slug myself in the jaw. And it wasn't like tap, tap. I would just haul off and hit myself as hard as I could in the face.